Hello, so it's a weekend over here, so I just wanna use some few minutes to explain um one sector of solar system and what makes solar system to work. So it's one of them is charge controller, and knowing the size of charge controller and how they are being rated is very important. So let's dive into it. So what I have here with me is a 40 amp charge controller, which is, you can see from here. So anytime you see a charge controller, what you should go after is those stickers. Understand? Those stickers, those are the things you should look after. Those are the things you should look after. Okay, so here now, this is one of the one I've used before, so we replaced it with a bigger size. So this is, check from here now, rated voltage. This means that this particular charge controller could possibly work with a 12-volt system and also 24-volt system, and this is a PWM charge controller. There is a PWM charge controller, there is an MPPT charge controller. So this is an example of MPPT, and it's written here MPPT solar charge controller. Okay, so that one we will explain it later, but just know that there are two types. It's either it is MPPT or a PWM charge controller. Okay, so now let's go back to the sticker. So checking on the sticker, we have here 12 volt, 24 volts. Now this could only work with 12 volt and 24 volt and not with a 48-volt system. So checking on this other sticker, I believe you can see it from here. Checking from, okay, same thing with this 12 volts, 24 volts. Okay, let's go with this to see what we have here. Okay, so what we are looking for is this battery voltage, which is 12 volt DC, 24 volt DC, 36 volt DC, and then 48 volt DC. So this is rated 80 amps. So this is 80 amps charge controller, as you can see, and this is also an MPPT. So this and this works with 12 volt and 24. This work with 12 volts and 24, and this work with 12 volts, 24, 36, and 48 volt DC. Now that's the battery input for each of these charge controller. Now let's check on the rated ampage. Now the rated ampage is the maximum ampage this charge controller can accept, okay, from your panel. Okay, so you have to understand the panels. The panels is giving out ampage and voltage. That's the focus from panels. So what is coming from the panels is your voltage and your amp. So then the maximum amp here is 40 amps, and it is rated a 40 amp charge controller. Here also we have what is our maximum? Still 40 amp. Understand? Maximum is 40 amp, meaning MPPT charge controller. So this is still 40 amps, but this is an MPPT. Then this is a PWM. Okay, and this one as well is the maximum ampage. I think we saw there, it was 80 amp. Okay, fine. So the maximum current from here that can be accepted is 80 amps. This is 80 amps, this is 40 amps, and this is also a 40 amps. So then going back to the next sticker, maximum PV voltage. So now we have your current and your voltage coming from the panels into this guy. Okay, so if you are checking it from here, we see 50 volts is the maximum voltage that it can accept. Anything above the maximum rating will cause physical damage. It will burn, your stove may crash. Okay, so this one as well, the maximum PV over here is, if you can see, 12 volts, the maximum PV, you can see PV max, the maximum PV for 12 volt is 90 volts, which is 580 watts. 24 volt system is 90 volts as well. So the maximum PV for this charge controller, which is MPPT 40 amps, is 90 volts, while this was 50 volts. Okay, so this 40 amps PWM and 40 amps MPPT, their maximum voltage is 50 volts, while this one is 90 volts. Okay, then let's go to the 80 amps charge controller we have here. So for the 80 amps charge controller, the maximum PV, you can see maximum solar voltage, which is 100 volt DC for 12 volt DC system, 145 volt DC for 24, 36 for the 8 VDC voltage, direct voltage battery system. Okay, 48 volt system. Understand? So the maximum voltage for this is 145 if you are using from 24 volt, 36 volt, 48 volts DC. Okay, so just that's how to rate a charge controller. And if you want to have a system design and you want to know what kind of size of charge controller should I take for my system, so you consider the numbers of panels you have and check each of their voltage and their ampage. Then you need to understand as well series and parallel. So that's a topic for solar panels. You will explain that as well. So our main aim here is how to identify your charge controller. So knowing your charge controller, so you will not burn your charge controller, because if you pass or if you exceed the maximum required voltage, it should damage. Okay, so these are still working. Then I have also here in cartons SMS. I love using SMS products. I don't know, they are very intelligent. Same with their inverter. So, and also we have Felicity as well. Most people like using Felicity because of their strength. So here we have 100 amp. Remember, the rating, the maximum ampage is 100 amp. Then the PV voltage is 195 volts. Okay, that's the two things you have to consider in choosing a charge controller for your system. Then the second thing we have here is still 100 amp, but this is an SMS. An SMS now, this is 150 volt mask. Okay, why this was 195, so this is expensive than this. Okay, same thing with a 60 amps MPPT SMS, so its max voltage is 150 volts, while the ampage is 60 amps. So today you've learned how to identify charge controller, the sizes, the ampage. So one thing you should note, two things you should note is your ampage and the maximum voltage, the maximum ampage and the maximum voltage from your PV. Those are the two things that will help you identify a good solar system. So thank you for watching and stay tuned for another tutorial. So I think we are taking it step by step. We are going to have definition of solar panels and more of this. Okay, it's coming up. So gradually, if you like the video, just drop a comment. If you have something you are confused about in solar system and you want us to explain deeply, understand all the basics of it, okay, just drop a comment and we'll look after it. Thank you. God bless you.